Good. Yep, you see the activity on the road coming down Bristol Race Road. You get it on. Okay. Yes.
There we go.
Good evening, everyone. Could everyone in the room please mute their electronic devices to avoid feedback? And could remote participants please get their camera and microphones off unless they wish to speak, as this can affect the quality of the meeting. The meeting is being live webcast and the recording will stay on the council's website and YouTube. I'd like to welcome everyone to this evening's hybrid Sheppey Area Committee meeting, including anyone attending remotely. We have the following Scarborough Council officers in attendance. To my left is the Head of Housing and Community Services, Charlotte Hudson. We'll be joined online by the Policy and Community Manager, Steph Curtis. We have the Capital Projects Manager, Ingela Lorraine, over here, and Capital Projects Officer, Zoe Henschel. Policy Engagement Officer, Janet Dart, on my right, and the Community and Marketing Officer, Rebecca Dart, on my far right. We also have in attendance online Inspector Julia Bassendale from Kent Police. I see no KCC members. I'd note in the room I can see Councillor Ben Pointing from Minster Parish Council, Councillor Telford and Monday from Queenborough Town Council. We have Councillor Chris Reed from Sheerness Town Council, and we have Councillor Morrison from Walden Parish Council. Are there any other parish councillors or town councillors? Yes, okay. We have multi-hatters in the room as well. If you'd like to speak on any item, please raise your hand. And John Nerdon from Minster as well. If anyone would like to speak during the meeting, please raise your hand. I'll invite you in turn to speak. Likewise, could anyone attending remotely raise their hand electronically or put a message in the chat if you wish to speak, and I'll call you in when we're ready. Agenda item 1 is the emergency evacuation procedure. Please be aware of the evacuation procedure following an event of emergency. We'll go out the fire door behind you and we'll assemble opposite the building out front. There's no scheduled testing of the fire alarm during this meeting. If the alarm does sound, please leave the building quickly without collecting any of your possessions by the fire exit. Assemble as directed and await instructions before entering the building. Should anyone require assistance in evacuating the building, please can you indicate now? Okay. Next up is apologies for absence. Janet?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Tara No. Online, we have Councillor Angela Harrison and Councillor Mark Tucker. Has anybody heard from Councillor Andy Boo and Pete Neal? They're the only ones I haven't heard anything from. No? Okay, thank you.
I don't think Councillor Booth wishes to attend these meetings, he's indicated.
Okay, I'll put them down as an apology. Thank you.
Next up, agenda item 3 is the minutes. Do members agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 2nd of December here, 2025, minutes number 522 to 535 is the correct record?
Agree.
I'll sign in a minute. Agenda item 4, declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations to declare? No, okay. Agenda item 5 is the police update. So I'd like to invite Inspector Julia Bassendale from Kent Police to give us an update on policing on the Isle of Sheppey.
She was online but has disappeared.
Is there anything you'd like to say then, Steph?
Not putting me on the spot at all, because I'm assuming she's going to come back. You know, she had dialed in.
Steph, do you have her email address? Can you just quickly check if she's okay to get back into the meeting?
Yep, will do.
Thank you.
In that case, I'll reorder the agenda. Agenda item 5 is the Sheerness Revival Project update. We have Ingela Lorraine, Capital Projects Manager, and Zoe Henschel, the Capital Projects Officer, here to present an update on the Sheerness Revival Project.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Good evening, everyone. The last time we were here in December, we provided an update. Quite a lot's happened since then. And we've got some slides to show you, some images. as well as a video of the progress at Beachfields. We wanted to start today with some highlights on the project. We ended last December with donations of toys and food to local charities, and that was in collaboration with the contractors at Beachfields. Master's House, the Maker Studios, that came back from the disused garages are now fully complete and ready to be inhabited. And that was opened by the leader of the council a couple of weeks ago. EKC College at the moment has 2 students who are currently conducting work experience at Beachfields. They're doing some bricklaying, so they will actually contribute to that building coming forward. And we've also got some students who are welcome to apologies. Those are our highlights, apologies. So we've got some students on site at Beachfields who are currently conducting some brickworks, and we've also got further job fairs that are taking place and see if we can get some experience for the students and we can align the project in that sense in terms of skills in construction. In terms of the Beachfield regeneration, the landscaping works are continuing at pace. We've started work by the sculpture outside McDonald's, and we've created 2 new paths that will lead to the new entrance that supports the new extension of the building. We've got work progressing inside, the reconfiguration of the internal space. We've had some structural issues which required some solutions around fire protection, and we've managed to come to an agreement with the building regs officers, and therefore we've made some progress internally. And works on the new adventure play area in terms of the designs are now underway. We've got adventure play coming forward and other activities to support the leisure offer. So, and this is the video showing the time lapse from when we actually started on site last January and the progress to last week.
Been a very wet January.
We were hopeful that weather wouldn't hinder the tarmacking, so we've laid the topsoil and we will be doing the tarmacking for the 2 new pathways that we've created.
So on the screen currently as well is just a progress snapshot. So we installed the time-lapse camera on the 17th of June. So on the left-hand side is your old Healthy Living Centre, and as of the 22nd of January, they're now prepared and ready to start the bricklaying. Which is what so if I just sort of talk you through the images on the screen there, so you've got the new extension, and I've got a laser pointer, so apologies, I'm going to use it. This here is your new entrance. It's going to go in here. This image here shows you your new fitness studio on the first floor, which is the old GP surgery for those that went in the building previously. Down to the bottom here, this is where your new reception area is going to be and servery, and at the back here will be the new cafe, and then tucked away just around here will be the entrance to the adventure play zones and the Nervous suites. And the health suite that's currently situated poolside is going to move across to the new building. And the last image that this one here is the first floor extension, and that will be the cardio suite. So for those that like running on a treadmill or sitting on a spin bike, we'll be able to sit on that first floor and overlook the sea.
We've also got a kiosk at the bottom left image that's going to link into the paddling pool, so we'll be able to serve refreshments there, and the paddling pool's being opened up in terms of the space so that we can have deck chairs and make more use of that area. In terms of Sheppey College, the external works are nearing finish. We're working on the pathway between McDonald's and the sculpture that we just saw in the last image. In terms of tarmac in that area, that will sit within the boundary of the college. And then we have the first floor, which is undergoing snags at the moment. We had some structural issues as well with the college, and we had to find some fire solutions around that. but that should be ready by the end of February. Practical completion should be signed off by then, and we are currently planning the opening event, which will take place in March.
And just to, this is the ground floor of the extension, which is currently open and welcome to students. So you've got the engineering room, it's just here. And then we've got just generalised teaching space as well.
And then we move on to Master's House. As I said earlier, Master's House Maker Studios are now fully open. We had some social value contributions, which we've given an update on previously when we started the project. We wanted to ensure that we can support the charity in terms of antisocial behaviour and crime in that area. So the contractors, we came to an agreement in terms of their contribution, whereby we installed defence guards to the back, the rear of the roof, the new roof that's been put onto the garages. We've also added in some anti-climb paint, and we've provided a notice board and allowed for the planters to support with antisocial parking as well. They're working really well, and hopefully it will continue to contribute to everybody's attempt to reduce antisocial behaviour in that area.
So just to show what it currently looks like, what it looks like now inside.
The building has now been handed over to Launch a Charity.
We want to come to engagement. So we still remain, a monthly newsletter goes out, and engagement on that seems to remain at a steady pace and increasing. So there are about 200 members signed up to that, and when that's sent out, all emails are opened. We have a total of 2 that bounce back, which I've been told is very good, and that number keeps increasing as we promote it. Our Facebook page engagement levels are rising and increasing weekly. Obviously, there's a lot going on at the moment, so we're able to post a lot more regularly now than we were a couple of weeks back, which is fantastic. We have met on site with the health suite users because they've been temporarily relocated out of their old home into a temporary home over on the west side to allow for fitness classes to take place to avoid disruption and to allow us to access the sports hall when the bench play will be being installed. They were positive comments that we received back with some negativity, but we've been able to take on board those comments and hopefully make changes which will appease the user and the leisure providers within the centre. We also took place the Masters House celebration, where we invited members from the island to come and view the new studio facilities and sort of celebrate with us the first milestone, the first project completed on the island as part of the CNS revival projects. We've also been doing a lot of social values recently, and that's going to increase over the coming weeks. As Inga mentioned, on Wednesday that we opened the Masters House Studios, I welcomed 2 students from EKC Sheppey College to take part in the bricklaying. They were interviewed previously in December and chosen by the contractors. They've been on site now for over a week. It's been wet, it's been cold, but they've been really enjoying it, and they've sort of asked if they can extend their time, and as of this afternoon, the contractors have agreed for a further 2 weeks for them to be on site to help them really gain that full experience. Talking to the bricklayers as well, they're really keen on those students progressing to jobs within that company. So that's a really good and positive news story to come from that exercise. In December, the eTech group did a £300 toy donation to the Salvation Army to support local families on the island who aren't able to supply Christmas presents for their children. And they also did £150 worth of food to Seashells to support their food bank over the festive period. We have also been to local primary school Rose Street, where we took 100 bricks and we asked the students to paint the bricks. So instead of putting a plastic box time capsule into the ground at the Healthy Living Centre, because we couldn't quite agree where it would go, they have painted a mural which had gone into the wall, and that is being laid by the EKC students. And I believe that was laid earlier this week, so yesterday. And I'll be able to bring pictures of that to the next meeting if anybody would like to see them. Tomorrow we're attending a careers fair that the DWP have put on to promote construction and work in the industry, and ETEC will be attending that for us. As of today as well, we are also doing some community work in the Sheppey Hospital, painting a couple of rooms and sort of improving some of the spaces which users are able to access. So in terms of just last sort of minute photos, so the bricks the students painted are just here. Louis is the face of EKC bricklaying, who's on our social media, and he's one of the students on site. And then in the middle, you can see the toy donations and the food donation that we made.
With Master's House now being complete, we're expecting the completion of the college at the end of the month and opening in March, and we're expecting an opening for beach tours in the summer. With some further engagements happening that Zoe's leading on around social value.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the update? I'm going to go to Chris Reid first.
Right, well, I was jolly pleased to see that the welcome to Sheerness sign didn't get moved after all,
Is this going to be on table tennis?
and wondering about the ping pong table.
Ping pong.
So we are looking at outdoor provisions, and that's something we're currently working on. I'm not sure if it's going to be table tennis tables externally, but that's something we can definitely take back to the contractors and have conversations with regarding what's the story.
I mean, all I know is, been to London parks loads of times, ping pong tables are really popular in London parks.
I think we just need to make sure that they work on the island in the conditions that we have, because it's very windy in that park.
You can get special balls.
I don't want projectile Councillor MacDonald at the building.
Councillor Whiting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mum. Just a quick question, because you showed with the little cafe kiosk going up to the paddling pool. When they were designing the floor layouts, one of the things I suggested was an opening from the pool into the building with toilets, so that people could. That wasn't shown there. There were two, so that's been included, has it?
Yes, so
Good.
that's,
Good.
further down within that layout, it's not going with the new extension, we've made space for it within the health and living centre, so there'll be two accessible toilets from the paddling pool into the building.
Perfect. That's
So-
great.
Instead of having to cross over and use the toilets by the sand pit, or walk into the centre itself, families will be able to access the toilets.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Councillor MacDonald.
Yeah, just, I wonder what was happening about the large or oversized park on to the west of the War Memorial Gardens, where it used to be an entrance. I know you've taken the contractors have taken the lampposts down, because we have been pushing for moving the bus shelter and the bus stop further to the west, which from where it is at the moment, which is so. Do you know the bit I mean where it goes wide? Is it going to be an entrance into the college there?
So that's been bricked up,
Yeah,
because that will be the safety compound for the college, and it will need to be safeguarded. So they've bricked that up, so traffic should be using where the
I wasn't thinking of traffic, I was thinking of
Yes, pedestrian traffic should be using the entrance where they welcome to Sheerness sign.
over on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been bricked up, and then to protect your war memorial, they cut across, so in case you have the land behind it, they fenced it off so that people can't access and get behind it as well, so there's
Yeah.
protection.
I didn't want graffiti on it.
No, moved away.
It's
So hopefully,
it's quite an expensive job.
hopefully that's something that what we've done there and what you can see done will help them.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Any more for any more?
Very much in favour with the whole scheme.
No? Okay. So we saw in the picture the sculpture's been moved. Where is it being moved to?
It's going to be really safe.
Oh, so it's just, so you get lots of water and leaves debris there. So
We have to reinstate it. We've put some new lighting under there. We'll also put some block paving that will help support the wayfinding that leads to the entrance of the new building.
What about the paddling pool? Do we know when that's going to reopen?
We're hoping for summer.
We're currently in conversations with the contractor's planning team. So they plan the year ahead on timescales. So we're in those conversations, in the depths of those conversations, we should be able to hopefully by the common teams.
Okay. It always used to be Easter, so it'd be lovely if it's Easter.
Don't want scaffolding. So
That's true.
I'm not going to promise Easter.
Have just something else to do. Benches and bins around beach fields at the moment are, well, some of the benches have sunk, so they're all right for small people, but not so much adults. And the bins around there, just rubbish just blows out.
We will share, it was brought to our attention last summer and we shared that with the cleansing team. I know some of them are left open and there is a key that we can use to close those. So they're working on that, looking at going around and making sure that we've got enough bins, adequate bins, but also that they're safe. I mean, in terms of benches, we are working with McDonald's in terms of having some additional planters in that area where the sculpture is going to be, and we'll look at something in that area as well.
I think all the bins need replacing. There's no point in us doing all this hard work and then having the ugly bins and benches. Okay. And what about the multi-activity games unit?
Okay, so the mug is coming in, and I should say, to your question around the ping pong table, we do have the tennis court coming forward as well.
My next question.
We'll have a 3-metre high fencing with electronic access, so there will be outdoor space. The multi-use games area, the mugger, will sit next to the outdoor gym, so that's also coming forward. So we do have outdoor provisions happening.
Do you have dates for them, or is it just
So
summer?
it will be at the end of summer as well. So summer is.
Do we need them off site almost for us?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Do we need the builds off site for us to?
So we need to be able to decant the leisure provision back into the building and clean off the tennis courts to be able to then work on that area.
All the external works will be finished at the end of the full completion of the main building.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. You're free to stay or go. Do we?
Julia back on
We
now.
do. Right, we'll return to item number 5 then, which is a policing update. So we have Inspector Julia Bassendale from Kent Police online, who's going to give us an update on policing on the Isle of Sheppey. Hello and welcome.
Hello, good evening, and I'm really sorry that I dialed in and dialed out again. My computer decided to restart like it does at the start of every important meeting. So I do apologise for that. Yes, so update for Sheppey over the last few months. Just a really new updates at the moment. We've got a brand new beat PC who has just started last week. Sophie Marshall, who is going to be covering half of the Minster Cliff Wards with PC Saddington. So an extra PC there. So that's really good news. And she's already started. And that's in addition to the 4 PCSO, sorry, that were diverted over the summer to Sheerness. So hopefully she'll get out and about and start meeting people very soon. So over the last sort of few months or so, most of our sort of targeted enforcement's been around nuisance bikes, motorbikes, road-related ASB over the last few months, and we've done a lot of high-vis patrols, educating as well as obviously issuing warnings where needed. We've got some roads policing days of actions coming up soon, where we'll do some sort of multi-agency sort of policing operations, to sort of target criminality, but also to sort of educate people into speeding, drink driving, etc. on the island, because I know that's been a bit of an issue of late. Large volume of community-facing engagement work has taken place, again, too numerous to sort of mention, but PC Hughes, who is the Sheerness Town Centre PC, has been delivering fraud and scam awareness at Age UK Sheppey and providing some safeguarding support and resources for vulnerable residents. PC Honus, who also covers the island as well, has been engaging young people via Sheppey Matters and discussing hate crime awareness and youth inclusion. And we continue to do a lot of work around VAUG, violence against women and girls, running coffee mornings, information mornings at Sheppey Gateway, and connecting residents with support services as and when required. So again, our focus will continue to be antisocial behaviour, nuisance motorbikes, road safety and e-scooter issues. One thing of note that we have worked on over the last few months is there was some concern around antisocial behaviour and subsequent crime and disorder around the Royal Hotel in Sheerness, specifically obviously the pub, the licensed premises part of it. So that was taken to a review and their licence was revoked due to the concerns that we had over the ASB that was happening. So shoplifting again continues to be a priority, and we continue to target those that are causing harm and targeting repeat locations in Sheppey and Sheerness. We are aware, obviously, we've had some sort of high profile incidents over the last few months. The murder in Laysdown-on-Sea, multiple collisions, some of them sadly fatal at the Sheppey crossing. Obviously, I can't go into any live investigations, but obviously, needless to say, we are acutely aware of the community impact that can have. So we're working really hard to make sure that we've got officers out and about and visible as and when we can. We continue to use My Community Voice and sign people up to My Community Voice, which is a great way if people aren't signed up to it. Is a really great way to link in with your beat officer, get updates and ask questions as well. So if anyone isn't signed up to My Community Voice, I really would urge you to go online and try and do that. So that is a brief whistle stop tour. If anyone has got any questions.
Yes, James.
I'm going to ask you, what are you doing about tractor units on the island who have no number plates on the back of them? And one of your police cars was sitting behind one today, and they're doing nothing about it.
Okay, I can't comment obviously on what happened today, but as I've just said, road safety, road issues, nuisance bikes, speeding, drink driving, all that kind of thing is really, really important to us. And it is something that, as I've said, we are going to be focusing on the coming months. So rest assured, we are aware.
That same people are impeding the traffic as well. That's maybe something you can look into as well.
And where was this happening, sorry, sir?
Right from Old Wrights Farm right down to Maidstone.
Yeah, no worries, leave it with me, and I will take it back.
Thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Hi, yeah. I think it's great hearing about the engagement you're doing with the elderly or like age concern and the children, and that's lovely. It's happening all in Sheerness. But what about the eastern end of the island? The kids can't get to Sheerness for one, and nor can the elderly because of the very limited bus services. So it would be very much appreciated if the residents of the eastern end of the island could have some sort of engagement like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree with you. And like I said, that we've got the new sort of Beat PC, and that's why the decision was made to move the new Beat PC over to the island so that we can start sort of doing that, because I am aware of that. We don't just want sort of everything in Sittingbourne all the time, so that's why I moved the 4 PCSOs over and a new Beat PC so that we can try and get more of that coverage. So again, yeah, 100% agree with you, and it's something that we're working on.
Thank you.
Councillor Worcester.
2 questions.
It might be best if you come forward because of the mic, just so.
I have 2 questions, Chair. I've got one issue around residents talking about catapult crime, which I think is really relevant. At the moment, there appears to be funding for camera support for residents if they fit under certain criteria of crime, for example, domestic violence or violence against women and girls. A number of residents have asked if there is any support available around the use of cameras to support their residents, because they are being consistently targeted with catapults, and so are their pets. I'll let you answer that one, and then I've got another one for you.
Sorry, was that question aimed at what? At the police, what we can do about the cameras? Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Really, it's is there any funding available to help us help residents, and it maybe Steph could answer as well, because what they're asking for, I think, is fairly reasonable. A lot of these elderly and vulnerable people live by themselves. Their properties are being targeted. Obviously, you can't have CCTV every street on every residence, but we've had some good successes with people having Ring doorbell cameras. Now, the problem with Ring doorbell cameras are that they're a subscription service. What we're after, potentially, is something that supports residents that isn't a subscription service, but allows them to have the same support that potentially people who can afford it can have, basically.
Dolly, have you got specific residents, and we obviously don't name them, in specific areas that are coming to you with this that we could maybe go talk about offline? Is there a specific area that this is an issue?
Yeah, absolutely, no problems. So pass details on to Matt Sadlington as well.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
To talk about that. Also, I just wanted to say that I was at a governors meeting all day today, and I know that your child-centred policing team have been doing really great work in the island schools around catapult crime and trying to target the children that potentially they see as the relevant age group that are taking part in this activity. And it's just an ask that that support continues so that we can see a decrease and hopefully give those sort of children a different way to spend their time or make them aware of the information that affects them.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. And one thing I did forget to mention, actually, Dolly, you've just prompted me with your comment there, is obviously subject to funding and whether we get the grants. We have put in some more bids for some more diversionary activities as well. Obviously, I can't say too much until we get the funding, but you know, again, we're really keen to get some diversionary activities for children over on the island as well.
Lovely, and back to Leanne's point, it would be lovely if we could see those shared over the entire island rather than just...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree.
Simon, did you have your hand up? Yeah.
Good evening, Inspector. Just a quick, it's good to hear you're targeting cars. Are you targeting the sort of boy races that are going around neat schools at the A249? Seems to be every weekend at the moment. It's chaotic.
Yeah, we absolutely are, and that was part of my update about. I mean, I obviously can't divulge all of our tactics, but that's part of the work that we're doing with our roads policing unit. You know, at the end of the day, as a community safety unit, we don't have you know, sort of finite resources, so we are working with our traffic unit anyway. They are aware of the issue, and we are going to be doing regular work, and by regular I do mean regular monthly work with them around that bit of the island. So yes, I am very well aware of it.
Excellent, thank you.
Any more questions from anyone?
If I can, Joe, it's not a question. It's just can I just say thanks for our local ward PC, Hannah, who's brilliant, Julia. So if you could pass that on, Queen halfway. She does a sterling job. She answers her emails almost immediately. She's absolutely switched on, and she's been really a breath of fresh air. So if you could pass that on, I'd be very grateful.
I would be delighted. Thank you very much. Yes, of course I will.
Thank you.
Okay, on that note, then I'll thank you for coming. I hope to see you again later on in the year.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Agenda item 7 is the community governance review update, and we have Steph Curtis online who's going to give us an update on this.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me all right?
Yep.
Oh, fabulous. Next slide, please, Janet.
Oh, sorry, there we are.
There we go. Thank you. I'm sure many of you are already aware of this and have seen some of our updates on community governance review previously, but for those of you that haven't, community governance reviews, or CGR, is an opportunity for residents or for a principal authority, i.e. Swarborough Council, to kickstart a process around looking at governance of the borough. And it's an opportunity to make sure that it better reflects local identities and make sure that there can be sort of a really effective local government model in place. These reviews can include potentially the names of parish councils, boundary changes, establishing new town and parish councils for areas that might currently not have one, as well as looking at other governance issues such as councillor numbers. So within Kent at the moment, the current governance structure is Kent County Council, which is the unitary council that oversees the likes of social care, highways, education, us at Swale Borough Council, and then a number of parish and town councils underneath. Next slide, please. So in terms of the process that we are currently undertaking, we have set up a cross-party member steering group who've been leading the review. We started this process probably around October time in 2025, and we wrote out to all existing town and parish councils for proposals of things that they'd like us to consider in relation to community governance reviews. And they did need to meet sort of two main objectives. So that was support the identities and interests of communities and to support effective and convenient local government. We had a number of representations from a number of different parish councils, and thank you to everybody if any of you around in the room today were those that were involved with that. And the member steering group came together to consider those and to agree which proposals went forward to the first stage of consultation. As part of this process, we complete 2 rounds of consultation. The first to be to gauge the interest in the options on the table, and then the second to formally ask whether or not there's the will of the residents to formally put into place any of these measures. And then ultimately it's Swale Borough Council's full council makes the final decision on what to implement. Next slide, please. So we are currently, there we go. We are currently almost at the end of the first consultation round. It closes on Monday. On the screen are just a few little sort of screenshots of what the consultation form looks like, and it's available on our website. Because we're doing a CGR across the whole of Swale, we've divided the consultation form into 3 sections. So as residents or as sort of interested parties, you can choose which section you want to look at, and then you'll be taken to the appropriate questions affecting that area. So as Isle of Sheppey sort of residents and stakeholders, you can click onto the Isle of Sheppey one, and it will take you to sort of the various questions related to that. On the Isle of Sheppey, we are consulting on the 3 different options. One is renaming Walden Parish Council to Walden Bay Parish Council. The option of merging all existing town and parish councils and the non-parish area of Halfway into a single parish council for the Isle of Sheppey, or for the currently unparished area of Halfway to create a new parish council or to absorb it into an existing parish council. As I say, the form is quite simple. It's on average taking about 5 minutes to complete, and there are paper copies available upon request if anybody did require that. But as I say, the consultation deadline is Monday, so if there was anybody that was interested or wanted some paper forms for residents, let us know ASAP, because we'd need to get that organised quite quickly. Next slide, please. In terms of timescales, as I say, we're literally at the point of almost finishing the first round of consultation, and then draft recommendations will be taken to full council in early spring. Depending on the outcomes of that meeting, the plan at the moment is that the second stage consultation on the recommended options to go forward will go out to formal consultations of early to mid-April, running through to May, with final recommendations to go to full council in sort of late June, July time, so that they can be submitted to government formally in July. This is all with the anticipation that if we do put into place any new parish or town councils or make any amendments, that they will fall in line with the next round of elections. We do have a CGR email address if anybody has any sort of questions, comments, concerns sort of following my presentation and before the consultation closes, or in subsequent sort of weeks following that, then please feel free to use that. Next slide, please. And any questions?
Any questions from anyone? Just me then. Where did the idea for a single parish council for the island come from?
That came, I believe, from social media when we started before the concert, while we were doing the sort of call for proposals from existing parish and town councils. There were a number of social media posts that went out, and there were quite a few comments at the time from members of the public making that proposal for a single one. So that's why we felt, or members felt as part of the steering group, that that should be something that's at least considered at this point.
Okay, and in the consultation, are we advising people that there's a big difference in their council tax? It could be from the parish council, it could be, I think someone proposing £100 next year, whereas the lowest one I think on the island will be £36. So I think
on the website, the consultation link is kind of at the bottom of the page of information to read through, and there's an accompanying leaflet that explains everything about the precepts and the fact that it will obviously cost. And we've done a number of videos to promote CGR as well, and again within the videos it's made it clear that there would be a cost.
Okay. If no one's got any questions.
Just a quick one. There is lots of these leaflets lying about. I've put a load on each table, and there's a supply of them at the back there where you signed in. If you want to take them away and give them to any of your residents, if you're a parish rep, or if you've got some other neighbours you want to take it to, please do. There's some posters there as well. And in answer to your question, Chair, there was a little note in the leaflet about the additional precepts with some examples. I think, as you say, on the island, they range from about £30 up to around £100. On the mainland in London, they don't charge anything, whereas in Portland-under-Blean, they charge nearly £150 a year. And so that's a charge on top of your normal council tax that you're paying to KCC, to Swale, and to the police authority. So the details are all in this leaflet. So please, if you've got one in front of you, take it away. And there's a whole lot of them. Take more if you can.
Okay, Councillor Moore.
Have we had much engagement? I think the last time, this sort of within the consultation, up to now.
At the moment, we've had around 300 responses. We are anticipating when we get to the second stage consultation that there would be a lot more. There'd be a lot more. We've done a mixture. Oh, I can hear an echo now. We've done a mixture of face-to-face consultation events. We have done, as I say, the videos that have gone out on social media. I know a number of councillors have been out door knocking in their areas. Equally, more than happy to take suggestions from any member or any stakeholder around other things to put into place for when we do go to the second stage, because it is really important that we get as many responses as possible.
Thanks, Chair. On top of that, there's a meeting up at Warden Bay on this Thursday, as part of the parish council meeting. So anybody east of Sheppey wants to go along, they can go along to that and have the full presentation from the team and the Q&A after that. I think, if I'm right in saying, Steph, that at the moment we've got more from Sheppey than we have from Sittingbourne, and more from Sheppey than we have from Faversham in terms of numbers of responses.
I know we pushed it at Laysdown Parish.
So I think the response from Sheppey has been good so far.
Yeah.
I think the ask for all of us elected members is to try just to kind of, the car park issue has reduced the public's trust in consultations carried out by KCC. I do believe, so it's incumbent on all of us elected members on Sheppey to try to help ensure that the public understand. And I've given a pledge, and I was sent them full of them. I chair the group, so I've been sent a full list of what we've got so far. There's 40 odd pages, but I have said that they will all be read and they will all be considered by the members of the steering group before we make recommendations to full council. And I just try to reassure the public that if they do respond to this consultation, that we will very seriously take everything they say into consideration.
I've asked a few people down on the east end of the island, Warden and Raysdown and that, do they know about it? And the answer is no. So there's not been a tremendous amount of publicity on it. I think we need to be doing more publicity. The people I've spoke to are voting on it now, but they don't know.
I find the eastern ends of the island probably as well is not great for sharing social media. A lot of people wouldn't see that. So maybe next time, like you're going to London, sort of arrange to go to East Church and and lays down as well, sort of as a
Yeah.
standard thing, or even just
Okay.
out community group.
I will also, I'll say if I can, Steph, that, I mean, all the members on Sheppey have known, I went out and delivered 200 of these today. You know, we think we can all do it, we can all get the word out there if we've got time. Not everybody has got time, but the leaflets were available to anybody that wanted a supply of them to go out and deliver. And I know on the mainland they've been doing quite a lot of that, and some ward members have been writing to all their constituents. So you know, it's different people have a different amount of time to do it, but I think the team have worked really quite hard to get as much as they can.
I think it's good that you've got that many
And to get that many responses actually is not bad for a council consultation. But I know some people have been put off because I don't believe it's going to make any difference. I want to assure them that it will.
Councillor Sheppey.
Yeah, I think the response has been good, but I think 300 for the whole of Swale is quite poor, to be fair. When we're looking at such big decisions that can affect our communities quite a lot, not just physically, but their pockets as well. There's not much we can do about that, but I wondered, Steph, if we can get the comms team to give it a little more of a push.
Yeah, no, we definitely will be. And as I say, certainly when we get to the second stage consultation, more than happy to listen to as many ideas as possible. And I think it's really useful to link in with existing community groups, community events, things where we've already got a group of people that we can go and talk to, rather than us trying to put on CGR specific events, because you're right, we won't necessarily get the people there. So yeah, more than happy to work with all members for any suggestions when we get into second stage, assuming we as a collective do choose to take forward any island options into that stage. And again, any ideas for the last sort of couple of days, then just let me know.
Would it not be an idea to go to like Radio Kent, local radios, television?
So we've already done some of that already. Yep.
It might go out there more so than just saying, oh well, we put it on social media.
Yep, no, so we've already, I think, Mike, you spoke to a radio station in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a half an hour now on SFM, Sheppey FM, sorry, last Thursday afternoon. And, you know, the offer's there for anybody else that wants to go on and talk about this.
You said about what else could be done towards the end. I know we said social media is not the be all and end all, but you can do, council could do paid advertisement targeting specifically Walden or just specifically Swale. You get to draw a lovely circle on where you want it to go out to. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but so there is paid options. I'm not saying there's a massive budget for this, but it's just for one day. I'm sure it shouldn't be too much.
Even the road shows, really, because you already do them.
We've linked in with road shows where the dates have coincided. I believe there might be a road show, or there's been a road show the days have merged into one somewhat the last couple of weeks, but yeah, certainly where we've got road shows coming up, we will definitely link in with them.
Okay, I see no one else indicating here, so we'll move on to the next one, which is local government reorganisation. There's a written update in the pack. Have you got anything to add, Steph?
I have. Hot off the press today is that we're now expecting government to launch the public consultation this Thursday, and it will run until the 26th of March. All of the details we can circulate after the meeting, but the details will be on the Kent Leaders website, which is what was used to sort of do quite a lot of the publicity and held a lot of the details around the different proposals sort of autumn time. Once the government have sort of obviously been through all the consultation responses, we are expecting a decision on their model that they are looking to implement in Kent and Medway by the time they go to summer recess, so mid-July at the latest. But we will circulate full details to everybody about the consultation. As I say, that's hot off the press today, that it should be going live on Thursday. Okay, any comments or questions on that? No? Okay. Thank you, Steph, for joining us. Thank you. Go. Thank you. Thanks all. Bye. Agenda item 9, which is the public forum, and this item has a 20-minute limit. First person to indicate they wish to speak is Jenny Herkett. Over to you. I'll let you introduce your item.
Right. So I'm part of the Island Forum and leading on tourism and environment. And we came up with the idea of having a month-long festival of Sheppey in June. And so with that in mind, we've started the process. We've already got 30 items on the programme with another 30 to be confirmed with date and venue. So it's right across the island. But the objective is really to preserve and celebrate our heritage and culture, enhance community pride and intergenerational engagement, support local artists, musicians and writers through exposure and collaboration, and promote tourism by attracting visitors from across Kent and beyond. So we're working with Network Rail on the last bit, and Visit Kent. And we've also got 2 universities involved. One is the University of London Archaeology Department, talking about coastal erosion. They've got 5 sites throughout the country, and one of them is in Swale Estuary, and they'll be doing a day on that. All the museums are involved. The Dockyard Preservation Trust will be putting on a day of talks at the Dockyard Church. The Criterion have got a variety of items in the programme, from plays. We've got Charles Dickens' great-grandson doing Great Expectations. We've got another play about the peregrinations of Hogarth. We've got Icon Theatre with young people doing a rap about the island. So it's a very broad spectrum. We've also, we'll be having the Raybell Barge coming up. So there's lots of things. What we're asking for all of you what can you do to get involved with it? Are there areas in your part of the island that you can get involved with? One of the things that we have got is that Charles I's death warrant was signed by 2 people from the island. One was in Queenborough and one was at Eastchurch, and people in Queenborough are going to be doing an event about that as well. And I remember he wants to get involved, and he's invited anyone who's involved in that project to go to the House of Parliament to see the plaque there. So it's getting bigger and bigger. The other thing that we're going to do after June, we chose June because you have the hiatus with everyone coming at Easter, and then you've got the May bank holidays, and then you've got summer. And there's an awful lot that goes on in June on the island, so that we can showcase things. Every event is self-funded. All we're asking for is, if you have any members grant, that you could actually give us a little bit of that so that we can buy banners. We're going to need 12 big banners across the island and some promotional postcards as well. John, do you want to talk about any of the marketing that?
Yes, thank you much, Jenny. Yes, I'm helping with Jenny, and for those of you who don't know, I'm one of the co-chairs of the Island Forum. The other one is Paul Murray. So yes, we're tying in, hopefully, Rebecca, with Inside Swale to do a little bit on that one. We're also using the local paper, the Times Guardian, Kent Online, the radio stations, so Sheppey FM, BRFM, SFM in Sittingbourne as well, and we also tied up with Radio Kent that have said that they will help us. So I'm hoping that we'll get the coverage. Also, My Little Baby Sheppey C is going to be helping with that, and with the help of Swale Council, we've got a grant to actually bring out a 24-page magazine very shortly on that one. So that's coming. We have launched, well, the main launch for the festival will be March 1st. But before that, we are starting with a search for a town crier for Sheppey. The adverts have gone out this week, so anybody is welcome to apply. If people tell you to be quiet because you're too noisy, you will be the ideal man or woman for the job, Dolly. The auditions will be here on this very stage. Valentine's Day, whoa, that's Saturday, February the 14th, in case anybody's forgotten what the date is, 10 a.m. We've got a panel there to judge for you. And Yes, so we're looking for, Jenny mentioned, any members that might have some money to share. The banners are going to cost about £100 each, 12 banners. By my mathematics, that's about £1,200. So anything will help for that. Because obviously we realise that the Swale Council hasn't got an awful lot of big budget for tourism and promotions. So any other cash we can get by foul means would be better. But just be really good to see everybody taking part. I know we've tied in with Queenborough because the Queenborough Independence Festival is during June, of course, so we're tying in with them. We're trying to tie in with all the other areas around the island, talking to the parish councils. I know it's coming up at Minster Parish Council shortly, although Elliot might not know about that. So yes, anything can help. But as Jenny is still ferreting away there, doing a brilliant job, we've just been inundated with people saying, yeah, we'll get involved with that. So it's really promising. And I just hope that everybody else comes along, takes part. You don't have to do a lot, just a little and often helps.
And after that, then we're going to have a sheep trail, but I'll leave that for another time.
Okay, brilliant. Next up to speak, Simon. I feel like I see you more than I see some Swale Borough councillors. Hello.
Thank you for me, Steve. Following the recent, it's going on what Mike said, and I'm sorry going over old ground again, but following the recent debacle that was the consultation on car parking charges, can I ask councillors, how do we regain trust in the system? 2 consultations this year with significant public responses, all of which have been ignored, of which not one response was in favour. Last year, same consultation, the same councillors voted at that time to keep the status quo. Now it would appear that officer-led input has caused a complete turnaround, and not because of public concern, but because of internal pressures. So many people are saying the same thing. Is democracy dead in Swale? As some councillors can call public opinion to afford their own social media presence, but ignore residents' concerns when it gets tough. When you become a councillor, like I was, you hope to leave a legacy for the future, not destroy people and Swale's future development. I mean, it's 30 plus shops shut in Sheppey now. So my question, is democracy dead in Swale? If not, how can we rebuild the trust with your constituents who elected you and expected you to act on their behalf?
Any councillors wish to answer that one? Go on then, please.
Well, democracy is not dead. What is happening at the moment is recently it's been getting interfered with by mob rule. There's the ones that continually shout, continually butt in, continually interrupt everybody, and I've had a lot of that. Just at the first, when the decision was taken on the parking, I was booked to speak, but I was blocked out by someone else jumping and leading off, so I lost my spot. I just signalled her again, and asked to speak again. Then when I got signalled again, I was blocked out again by someone jumping up, and so there was no control from the chair in that respect. So mob rule seemed to be taking over, and all the shouting and hollering from the public gallery is not democracy. You don't do shouting and hollering from galleries in democracy. Democracy is quiet discussions, it's quiet speaking, everyone puts their point across, and then everyone votes according to how they feel. That's democracy, and you have to live with it. All the local council, and the issue on the parking, all the local councillors in this area, all was against it right from day one and remained on that course all the way. One of the biggest problems that we were facing was we were outnumbered by the mainland councillors, all come from areas, but they have to pay for parking. So their advert always was, we have to pay, how come you're free? Why should we actually free? And so that was the kind of problem. I returned on the second meeting, and this is where it works. And sometimes you think you know how the system runs, and then you find out where you can get tripped up. I made plain I wanted to first speak. I put a statement in. I was invited to put a statement in a written letter, and I wrote to originate of why it is as it is in Queenborough. It all comes from Edward III, who married Philippa from Hannell, and in 1861, I believe it was. And he built a castle for her. When the castle was finished, he gave it to her as a present. The previous name of the village, sorry to run on with you on there, was Biney, and it was renamed Queenborough over Philippa. And ironically, the Queenborough Charter is exactly the same date and year as that transfer to Philippa actually happened. Going on through the years, you don't mind me saying this, do you? Queenborough was very rich. Had all the large industries. Before you had the steel mill, before you had the docks, you had Pilton Glass, the pottery, the bottle works, Sheppey fertiliser, Settle Speakman's, very large coal cut, put all the railway lines on the ends of it. So we had the money. And Sheppey Urban and Sheppey Rural Councils were quite poor, and they wanted to amalgamate it together. And Queenborough agreed, subject to two conditions. It was in the constitution. The first one was the name Queenborough would be in the heading. That's what's called Queenborough and Sheppey. The second one was the parking in Queenborough would still be free. That's two conditions in the Queenborough in the formula of Queenborough and Sheppey. 1974, it was amalgamated by swap. Only 6 years later, with very narrow gaps here. Well, I put a letter into the council, and it was put on every single desk for every council to read. When I went over there, I thought it looked quite impressive. I should have took a picture of it. But when I got it, I was told, because a letter had been put in and was issued out to everybody, I wouldn't be allowed to speak. And that's what I was told by the chair. So I wasn't able to speak again. Democracy, I have to follow what I'm told. I wasn't in a position to be able to keep butting in or doing things, so I was unable to speak any further on that. And we lost that vote, but that particular vote was only about conditions of when they were going to open or close or what votes are doing. But it's during that meeting, and I will name Martin Castle here because he answered somebody else's question, and at the end of speaking, he said, in answer to Peter's letter, the constitution with Queenborough and Sheppey was done away with right at the very start of Swell, directly after. So that's the next minutes I've got to chase that. Not that I'm trying to win anything, it's past winning. But the point I make, democracy's not gone. It has hiccups. But we can't please return this country to mob rule. It'd be a bad one if that ever happens, and probably it's a very, very real danger at this time of development. So thank you. I say no more.
I think democracy did take a kicking that night, but it'll rise again. Tom?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I totally understand why you think that that's happened. And I think that's quite a sort of fact. People genuinely believe, people that have been elected representatives themselves, genuinely feel that democracy is dead. I think there are a number of issues. I think the whole reason that came about, because it had been blocked previously as well, at least twice as far as I can remember, is because there was a really good idea to get, and it was a good idea, that isn't sarcastic, it was an absolutely fantastic idea, to give parish and town councils assets. But the problem is someone has then seen that and they've looked and gone, well, we don't need to do that because actually it's about best interest test, a test of best interest, and the best interest obviously of Swell Borough Council wasn't to give away assets for free to parish and town councils, but the best interest was to introduce parking charges at them, and that's where it came from. And I totally agree with what Councillor Marchington said. I do think we were blindsided, and I think it was councillors from off the island who constantly tried to compare other areas of the borough that have a far better tourist industry and have far more attraction to that. Somewhere like, as an example, Faversham or Sittingbourne, perhaps, where you've got a brand spanking new cinema and bowling alley and the associated restaurants around there. Well, obviously, more people are going to go there. But somewhere like the Isle of Sheppey, somewhere like Queenborough, it is quite isolated. It's lovely. I'm not saying 1 second, please don't think that's what I'm doing. Minster Leys is beautiful, but you can't compare a day out of Minster Leys with a day out of Broadstairs or Margate, because there is just more there. And it's no one's fault that that's the case. You know, I'm not suggesting that we knock down the beach huts and start building arcades or anything, but there's more of an attraction there. I think people forget that when they think about the island, because I do feel that the island sometimes does get overlooked on things. I think that is one issue. Is democracy dead? I hope not, because you know, there will be other opportunities to reverse that decision. And if it doesn't pan out the way it will, then I'm sure it will be more cost effective to reverse it as well. So have faith.
Who's got a fresh one? Yes.
I mean, my opinion, I don't believe democracy is dead, otherwise I won't be allowed to speak. Yeah.
No, not that.
But one comment I got on sent to me was I was brought up to believe my vote mattered. Emily Pankhurst and others fought for my rights. And then there was Swell. I don't think I'll bother to vote again. You got 1,400 people more than voted in the actual election, didn't want it. And it was just completely ignored. And there were, again, the consultation before that one, it was over 700 or 800 people, which was again nearly as much as voted in Queensland halfway. Certainly more than voted for me when I was a councillor. And it's all been ignored. And I don't think that is a good use of council powers. You know, you've got people telling you what they want. They voted you to act on their behalf, not on your own agenda or party lines, or because, you know, another ward in another part of the borough feels hard done by. There's still another, 10 or 12 car parks not being charged? Yeah. If it's fair, why don't they charge it? Why don't the councillors pay to park in Swell House? Like people do in London. If they work in a building, they wouldn't park for nothing underneath. Yet you've got 60 or 70 spaces there. How much would that generate? And that's full every day. Whereas Queen's got 2 or 3 cars and Sheppey Shaw's got none.
Councillor Whiteson, you want to come in on this?
Yeah, thanks. I don't think democracy is dead, Simon, but I understand why you should say that. And certainly Swale needs to consult properly and then needs to listen properly. And he didn't in that thing. No, when that first vote was taken in November about the car parks, I said then that they were taking that decision without ever having consulted anyone. And that was what happened. So they actually took the decision without any consultation at all, which I found to be completely undemocratic. And I can understand why, when we got to the second vote last week, it wasn't about the decision.
But so many people were confused, they thought it was.
Well, and I spoke to some councillors that were confused, and I think the councillors, without being rude to anybody, have been hoodwinked by the officers that wanted to see this happen. You talk about democracy and you're never going to vote again. You won't get the chance to vote for Swale councillor again, because the government are going to cancel the Swale elections. So all of those councillors that voted for this won't have to face the public, because there won't be another election in which they're elected to Swale council. So they, in a sense, they get a bit of a buy. They can do what they like and vote against what the public say they want, knowing they're never going to have to face the public again, because there won't be an election to which they will be asked to stand as a Swale Borough councillor. So all I can do is say, well, you have to have faith in democracy. You have to have faith that next time they will get it right. As I said earlier, with our CGR consultation, hopefully we will get it right. I think as Peter said, at the end of the day, there was a vote. You have a good conversation, then you have a vote. And some people will be on the winning side of that vote, some will be on the losing side. The really important thing is that the people on the winning side have listened wholeheartedly to the people on the losing side and taken what they say into account. I don't think that didn't happen on this case, because there wasn't any consultation before the important decision was taken. And that was the mistake that Swale Council made, and that was the mistake that the committee that took that decision made, being hoodwinked into it by officers who brought it back.
Sorry, I'm going to cut in there. That's the third time we've had an officer kick in, and I always defend the officers when in the chair. So the budget process is the officers present ideas to members, the budget working group. It is the members of that group who decided this parking idea should go forward to the Environment Committee. So it's not the officers. the officers are only delivering what the leader or the administration and the budget working group want. So I just want to set that clear.
Okay. I finished, thanks.
Okay, Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, I attended online that very meeting in November with Councillor Whiting and a few others that weren't actually members of the committee. And we tried to explain that there had been, you're taking a decision that can't be changed because for some reason you can't, although we have to ratify things at full council, we can't change the decision at full council. So why that make that, to me, that makes no sense whatsoever. But we tried to explain, you have not consulted with anyone on this decision. You are making this decision purely on your own thoughts. And I think, if I'm right, probably the majority of the members of that committee are from off the island.
I did say at that first meeting, let's consult first.
Well, I think
on the whole idea.
I think we all said it. I think you said it, Tom said it.
And the answer to come back from off-island members was, no, we're consulting.
We'll consult afterwards when the decision's been made, but then not listen to the consultation.
Yeah, there was a clear agenda from some members to push that through, and the members got what they wanted.
What residents need to know is that, well, in my opinion, all island councillors have absolutely objected to the whole situation.
Not all.
Well, not all, well, okay,
Not all.
but majority of.
Some didn't attend. Councillor Pointing.
Thank you very much. You can already guess what the subject of my question is. It's a slightly different angle, so please forgive me, but given the decisions that have been made at Swale about parking and the offset, the fallout of that is going to be on-street parking. The last few weeks we've been contending with the halfway road closure, diverting via Greenway or through Marine Parade. And yet again, a consistent issue is double yellow line parking outside the bingo hall in Sheerness, which has only really become apparent since they changed the parking times, or the parking times have changed till 10 o'clock at night. Now, you regularly have 20 cars parked up on pavements all around the yellow lines around the area, which is causing chaos some evenings. So I'd like to know what Swell will look at doing there, or can look at doing there with enforcement. I understand from previous things, enforcement has been put on some of these vehicles, but it's been quashed or whatever because the owner of the vehicle or the user of the vehicle is a blue badge. I think some of the terms of the blue badge is it can't cause an obstruction, but there's needs to be looking at them there. So that's going to impact halfway Queenborough and other areas around Swale as this all comes in. I don't agree with it, and sentiments. And the other question I have got is, I have had a brief conversation with Councillor Worcester about this, is vehicles being parked on public roads that shouldn't be, particularly my road, Granville Road. There's currently 2 cars I know of that are parked there with tax, but not MOT for 4 years, 5 years, which is kind of heading down I will mention the name, the Hague Squire route, which is what he was doing with all his vans. I know it's a famous name for Swale Road Council. I don't know if it's the same person doing this now, but what can Swale do about this to get rid of these cars? I've had a constant conversation with Kevin McKenna as well. There's obviously a legislation thing needs to be done with the DVLA or government authority to stop it. So I'd like to see what Swale can do to enforce parking of vehicles that should not be on the road, and pushing residents like myself, my neighbours with young kids, we're having to park different streets. You've got kids, you've got shopping, etc. So I know the problem isn't just mine in Sheerness. Sheerness is a big problem with it because you can't park outside your house, and I get that. But something needs to be done to stop people parking and making people's lives a misery for their own personal gain, because these cars are clearly being stored there to be sold at a future date. And these current cars, they're eyesore as well. I'd like to see something done about that piece.
On the W lines outside bingo halls, we can speak to the parking team and get an answer on that. It might not be a Swale decision to cancel the planning enforcement. It may have been, it went to the tribunal and they quashed it. That's something to find out. And cars without MOTs, I'm not sure if that's a police matter. Okay, if you get the registrations and email them into, you can send them to myself and I'll forward them on to officers, and we can see what we can get done about that. I'll go to Peter first, because we've been wasting a while, and then I'll come to these two.
So the question there is that the vehicle has to, if you're a motor vehicle on the road, then it has to be taxed, insured, and MOT'd, even if you're not using it. So that's the situation. If it's just an old trailer or something, we can regard that as litter, which I did notice of when I looked at the allotments in GNS off the Richmond Street. There's some old trailers and things there. That's litter. So it just needs a sticker put on it by the enforcement people, and then it can be disposed of. Or, you know, because they may find who the owner is. Yeah, the thing I wanted to say was about the sorry, I've lost it now. Must be old age. Yeah.
We can come back to you, that's no problem.
Yeah, sorry about that.
One thing about the parking, which I sort of closed, but I'm bringing it back up now. There was no discussion with parish and town councils on the car parks about charging the parish and town council, because Swale could have made more money out of the parish and town councils, given the little time that Swale's got left now, then it would have out of charging. But is that what you want to come back on, Peter?
Yeah, I wanted to come back on the car parking because in actual fact, mathematically, they will lose money on all those before the council is abolished anyway. The cost of the meter and enforcement and other things for the number of vehicles that even if they did fill up and be paid, it's not a business case at all, quite frankly. I tried to put that up, but I was told that the decision had been made when I was acting for somebody, another member on the committee. This is after the event anyway. But I did wind up the chief executive and poor old Bill Croydon years ago. I said, because we're clearly Sheppey doesn't get our say, because we are a minority, and that's obvious. We've always been Cinderella and all sorts of things, and it's only people like me that shout about things that actually get anything done. But I did wind Bill Croydon up years ago. I said we'd applied to the States Council, and he said, "What do you mean?" So I said, "Oh, States Council is the Channel Islands, so it's the Isle of Sheppey. We wanted to join the Channel Islands if they would have us." But anyway, that was just a wind up.
Okay, Councillor Telford?
I just wanted to bring up a bit about the digital saying about cars not being MOT, etc. I've reported many cars to the police online for not having MOT, because the road I live in, I have the same sort of problem. A new Hague, if you like, moved in near me, buying and selling cars. I've reported no tax, no MOT. Occasionally they'll have a notice put on them. He would take the notice off and he will move those cars and bring them back a few days later. Where years ago, and I've seen it myself, Swale Council would have come round and had no MOT or no tax on it. They would literally tempt it and take it away that day. But now they give us so much notice that all they do is move them to another road and move them back later.
Yeah, the Department of Transport are actually, I've seen around, putting the yellow clamps on one of the wheels.
This gentleman
And that's what they need to do, quite
removes
frankly.
them. I've watched him remove them.
Well,
That's a criminal offence, yeah. Legislation is not always on the council's side. James?
One of the things about parking, and it's gone down to Raisdown again, along the parking along there on the beach, there's no overnight parking. Go down there tonight and see all the caravanettes parked down there. And go down there at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and see where they empty their toilets. And then people are swimming in it the next day. What can Swale Council do about it? I'm told nothing. I can't see that.
Also, we can enforce the off-street parking order to make sure they're paying up or
They keep removing the signs, saying because there's no sign.
it's an ongoing battle, and yes.
So why can't they paint the sign on the road, no overnight parking?
Because as I said, legislation isn't always on the council side. You've got to comply with the off-street traffic order regulations. But I think the waste is probably the Environment Agency throwing it into the sea.
The other thing is when they put the signs up there, if you've got a small spanner with you, you can take it off, no problem at all. Why don't they weld them on?
I think that's something we should feed back to the parking team about welding it on, and it's been highlighted at this meeting that we need increased enforcement at the bingo hall or around the bingo hall and at your end of the islands.
Shellness, they just remove the signs and park there. They're even actually chopping, there's one caravan in particular chopping the trees down at the coastal park to put in a wood burner in the caravan.
I'm sorry,
Any evidence of that, that is criminal damage. And that gives the council.
I'm waiting on an email from a resident that has mentioned it to me to forward on to.
Sometimes that's the only way to get people moved on, is criminal
yeah,
damage.
So
just seems to be a sway of us doing nothing down there.
I think it's because there's no way of enforcing it. They can't put cameras up or anything along Shellness because there's no power. Like,
well, I think you insisted we have a review after 1 year.
Yeah.
And these are all things that actually bring up when we have that review.
Yeah.
Right, we've overrun. Oh, hello, you're sitting in the worst location for me. Hello.
Thank you, Chair. As my Environment Committee has been noted this evening, that you need to have a few corrections. Both meetings are available online so that actually members of the public can actually look at the meeting rather than just look at the social media hearsay that's been going around, which hasn't been entirely accurate. The petitions were not disregarded. Actually, what I did during that meeting was make sure that those petitions could come back at a later date to make sure they could be heard at a relevant meeting and be considered by officers rather than just be not heard about at the meeting. One petition even arrived on the night of the meeting, which meant that it couldn't be discussed, it could only be noted. So that petition will come back if the work comes back before the committee again. The Environment Committee weren't the only committee to hear that item. That item was actually referred by full council back to the relevant service committee and was heard initially by Economy to talk about the rules that Councillor Lundy was talking about earlier. The entire meeting, both meetings were supported by officers, and actually large amounts of the meeting were given over to make sure that there was lots of opportunities for councillors to discuss the details of what was going on both meetings. At the first meeting, we actually had a member of the public speaking, and at the second meeting, Queenborough Town Council spoke. Very unusual for service committees to hear non-members speak at service committees, but I wanted to make sure that happens, to make sure that we were actually considering as many viewpoints as possible for the meeting decisions. So as far as I'm aware, all that business was conducted appropriately, and as well has appropriate procedures if you feel that business wasn't conducted appropriately, and nobody was disregarded at all. So thank you very much, Chair, for letting me have that.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 10, which is the Swale Bus Forum update. The last Swale Bus Forum meeting took place on the 19th of January. As soon as the minutes are available, they'll be circulated. Councillor Woods, do you have any feedback from the meeting? And then afterwards we'll get feedback from the room. If there's anything they want you to submit.
Yeah, right. So we had a meeting with, which was really good. We had Chalkwell, Stagecoach and Travel Masters attended the meeting. Spoke about the issues that some residents have been having around the Belgrave Road bus stop in Minster, which has led to a bigger question of bus shelter ownership, identifying who owns bus stops to support Belgrave bus stop, but also other areas would allow organisations like towns and parishes to report issues going forward and develop better access to partnership potential, cutting down red tape. Because this will be the third week that I've had no answer on the ownership of that particular bus shelter. KCC have had some extra funding that they're looking at putting into bus shelters. Shared work around towns and parishes, HIP documents could lead to everyone's budget stretching a bit further. They highlighted that 8 shelters could be supported, well, with match funding, potentially up to 10, 16 shelters, potentially. This in turn may support areas with less funding available for supporting residents in this way if parishes choose that direction of travel. Not all London parishes come with the same level of funding. Replacement concerns around the bus stop around Sheerness train station was spoken about. that's an ongoing issue. And also we spoke about the potential of replacing Swale Hulk's shelter as well, because that is in a really appalling state. Residents with KCC raised with KCC officers the potential support for post-16 and EHCP students using KCC travel trainers, where officers can provide contact, so hopefully there'll be a meeting there. Support from KCC counsellors will be sought in facilitating information and supporting progress. This support has already been supported on train transport thanks to the input of Kent Community Rail Township. There is the potential that in future business advertising at bus shelters could be covered by solar power, which is good news, especially if KCC is citing that they cannot move bus shelters because of the lack of power access in future. So that will be one to keep on the list. I also cited a bigger conversation needed around how we fund not only bus services, but the added effects on revenue for bus services, like, for example, when emergency road closures are brought in. And that is a bigger conversation around potential 106 considerations for planning applications, maybe. This conversation could support not losing routes if they are affected by lower revenue on certain routes, but that is a big question mark. Previously, we've seen funding from developers go towards claims that bus routes can be supportive, but this is rarely recognised by residents in reality when the housing development actually finishes. So those were the main inputs, Chair.
Thank you. Moving the bus shelter opposite the train station would really help traffic flow in that area, and I hope it's the top of GNS's hip for this year. Peter.
Yeah, the moving the bus shelter, I have been chasing that, and in fact, the team in Kent County Council is bus stop and then stop at Kent.gov, and they haven't replied, so I'm really quite annoyed. So I'm going to the chairman of the county council, who's Richard Palmer from Newington. He's actually chairman of the Kent County Council, so I'll be contacting him tomorrow. There's no excuse. I've actually found that they did say they couldn't move it. The owner of it apparently is the advertising company, but that went out of business or something, and another firm's taken them over. But there is a cable. I was on to the college because the contractors, because they've taken away the lamp post that was along there, and that would have had electric to it. But there is a much easier cable, which is actually underneath, which at the moment it would require a connection by EDF. It's underneath, and at the moment it's dead, but it's connected to the mains, so that can be done. And obviously, again with bus shelter, and I'm interested that Kent have got some funds, so we need a bus shelter on the other side, dead opposite there, so that when the trains are not running, people don't have to stand out in the rain. It's quite appalling, frankly. This again, Sheppey's usually overlooked by everyone, so we'll
speak to Mike Knowles on that one. Speak to Mike Knowles on that one. He's leading Wales funding.
Yeah, and he's given me bus stop. You know, those people.
Okay.
But that's what we want. So I come in with the bus shelters.
Okay, Councillor White.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just very quickly on the Sheerness one, because with Councillor McDonald's help, when I was a KCC member, we got everybody together down at the bus shelter to talk about how we might move the one at Sheerness. The immediate problem is the traffic jams that get caused by the bus parking in the single lane when there is an empty taxi rank behind it. So they have all agreed they can just move the signage and pay bus stop in the taxi road, in the taxi lane, which means buses will stop 5 or 6 yards short of the bus stop. That's all been agreed. It's just somebody, and Mike Knowles is the person really to talk to again. I've spoken to him. He's trying to find out what's going on, just to get the signage written on the road so the bus stops where there's enough room for 2 lanes of traffic. And then we can think about how you move the bus stop later on. But it's only a 5 or 6 yard walk from the bus stop to a bus that's stopped a little bit away from where you're sitting or waiting for it. That's the first thing. The bus part, I wish the bus partnership would spend more time, and I'm sure it does spend a lot of time, but lobbying KCC to get money spent on subsidising bus routes. Because you could have all the fancy bus stops in the world. If there are no buses, there are no point in having bus stops. So we've got some lovely bus stops.
People like so much they move in.
But we have no buses. We have no buses. And when it comes to the 106 monies to try to pay for new bus services, all 1,300 of most of the houses that are going to be built in the next 10 years on Sheppey have already got their 106s signed. So all that money has already been decided, and it was decided by government. So we probably ended up getting less than we would have done. I mean, it was right that Swale refused those because they were, I think, in the wrong place. Anyway, they're there. So there's no money to come out of the developments, more money to come out of the developments in Barton Hill or the land east of Scoffles. The only big bit of land is the one in Queenborough, and they would likely argue they're next to a railway station and they don't need to contribute to a bus. That's what they may argue. So, and the money that has gone from developments has been spent, and they've stopped that now, and buses have stopped. So, I do think that if the bus partnership could concentrate more on lobbying KCC and getting the MP to lobby Parliament to change the rules, so that KCC can spend all of the 26 million they were given on subsidising buses, not to have to spend half of it on making the bus stops we've got look prettier, which is what they're being forced to do, which is really quite unfortunate. So, yeah, we do need more buses on Sheppey, but making the bus stops look nice isn't the way of getting it.
Well said.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 11, which is matters arising, and we have a verbal update on the outcomes of the council decision on the area committee review recommendations. Janet.
Yes, so you may recall a little while back, I think it started in June, a review of area committees was carried out. There was a member working group set up, and they carried out consultations with the public and with councillors. They also asked area committees for input. They then agreed 14 recommendations, which went to Policy and Resources Committee and also the Constitution Working Group, if any changes needed to be made to the Constitution Working Group. There were some minor amendments made to those 14 recommendations, and they were then agreed at full council on the 28th of January. I'm just going to run through, I won't run through all 14, but I'll run through the key ones that you'd probably be interested in hearing about this evening. So the change of the name is going to change from area committees to councillor and residents forum. And all changes, by the way, will start from the next civic year in May. They're going to, the rounds of meetings are going to reduce from 4 to 3. The December round of meetings will not happen. We've found through experience over the last few years that attendance is quite low at the December round of meetings, but the meetings will be spaced out a little bit more, so there isn't a big gap between the September and February meeting. That the meetings have still got to be scheduled for the next year. With the Sheppey venues, although they're going to alternate between this side of the island and the east end of the island, will try to stick to the same venues so there isn't confusion. When they move around too much, the feedback we've had is that people get confused about where to go. And also we need venues that are accessible and have Wi-Fi and so on. So we will stick to the good, reliable venues. Councillors, Swale Council councillors have been asked to bring items to area committees and to lead on them more. So we've not so much, there still will be officers bringing items to area committees, but also councillors will be encouraged to do so as well. We'll try and keep the items on the agenda area specific. I think that happens to a certain extent now, but to look at that in more detail, so that the meetings will be of interest to local people. For certain items, the public and parish and town councillors will be able to vote on some of the items. That will be agreed in advance by the chairs, and it will be made clear on the agenda which items everyone can vote on. Obviously, we've now got the matters arising report. There will be a "you said, we did" section included in this report. And communications, that there is communications that takes place before each round, but sometimes we realise that people might not always, that there may be a name of an item that's going to be discussed, but it may not always be clear what that item is. So there'll be more communications about what that item actually is about. So again, hopefully to attract more people to come in. And then the last one I'm going to mention tonight is we're going to purchase an additional microphone for the owl, so that it can be placed further back in the room, so that people at the back, that their voices will be picked up, and people listening online will be able to hear what's being said throughout the room there. So hopefully I'll have that in place for the June round of meetings. But most of the other recommendations are just sort of technicalities on the chairs arranging the meetings and having discussions and so on before the meetings take place. So I haven't gone into those into detail. Has anybody got any questions?
No. Okay. The other matters arising. Number one is health facilities on the east end of the island, and we've requested a representative from NHS attends a future meeting. Cases education, we've been an invitation extended to Cases education to attend a future meeting. Sports England, we want to get our hands on their lovely money. Representative has been invited to attend a future meeting. Number four is the keep fit equipment on the Lees. Councillor Nundy, this was you. Are you happy with the response?
I'm not ecstatic about it, but I accept the response that I've been given, yes.
On the memorial benches, do you wish to refer that to the service committee?
Yes.
Okay,
No, actually, because the memorial bench idea has been picked up. It's coming through. I've managed to get it, sadly not for the island. It was only going to be one bench around suicide awareness. But that was picked up on Friday at the CSP, and it's going to be going to a service committee through that, I believe. So
you don't just want I think the wider scheme is set to be reviewed anyway.
Yeah, do it anyway. Yeah, go on then.
Okay. We have two number. Next one is Barton's Point. The working group has met once already, and the second date is in the diary for later on this month. So that hopefully when we meet next, we will have a full update on the outcomes of that task and finish group. Next up is the Household Support Fund. It's being replaced by the Crisis Resilience Fund, and there's a link on the agenda if anyone wants any more information. Areas of special consent of advertisement. There is a consultation. Public consultation expected to take place in the spring. Number 6 is the Sheerness Conservation Area Review. The Sheerness Marine Town and Mile Town Conservation Area Review has been notifications in the London Gazette and is being published on the Swales website in mid-February. And Sheerness Blue Town Conservation Area Review is set to be reviewed this spring. Local heritage listing. There was a selection panel meeting on Tuesday, the 1st of January 2026. It's confirmed approximately 80 additional assets, and it's going tomorrow night to the Policy and Resources Committee for ratification. The panel's agreed the next round of local heritage listing invitations to nominate will take place in 2027. There's an update, a long update on Pride in Place funding. Which we'll have more on at the next meeting, and it's also going to the.
Say something on that.
Yep.
Right. This whole update on the Pride in Place funding, no one from the eastern end of the island has been consulted on this. No one, not even the ward councillors, went to this meeting before in December with Kevin McKenna and officers. I am going to be bringing it up at P&R tomorrow, because it is completely undermined yet again what the public, this is meant to be community-led funding. And at the minute, it's Swale going to hire a chair, Kevin McKenna is going to do this. Where's the community voice in this so far? Because I haven't been told as ward councillor. I found out about this going to P&R tomorrow through another committee papers. Why, as ward councillor, was myself and Councillor No not told about it? Why is it going to P&R when it's about Sheppey East, not Swale? How many people from Sheppey East sit on P&R?
None.
None. How many people live in Sheppey East who are on Swale Borough Council?
No.
One.
I live. Just to sort of come in terms of that. So I believe the meeting before Christmas was called by MHCLG and they obviously extended the invite to the MP and council officers around setting up the programme. So it was a mechanics.
It might have been,
but
you could have included the ward councillors so they knew what was going on.
I think the process that's being put in place is the sort of the governance arrangement, and absolutely everything that I've heard and can reassure you, take back around feedback to local ward members, is this is putting in place to get the chair, get the members of the committee, which are all going to be to have a fair process.
Be decided by the community, not by Swale and the MP, which is what they actually.
But that's what the MHCLG guidance.
Well, I haven't found that on the MHCL guidance, so and I've looked. But also, none of this has been discussed with any member of Sheppey East. No, none of it's been discussed with any community. Because I actually tried to give an update, and I hadn't been updated, so I had to give my own update on the funding for Sheppey East.
Well, can certainly take that. I can take that back to sort of the lead officers on that. But what I want to reassure yourself and the rest of the committee is that this programme very much is a grassroots programme and about residents doing that. But in order for that to be done properly, some governance arrangements around the structure and the funding have to be in place, and the council is the accountable body for it. So this process is around the council making sure it's got its proper processes, being the accountable body. It isn't saying that it's going to decide how the funding is going to be allocated or any of those things, because that is absolutely down to the community.
There is ways. So you're the accountable body, right? So you should have no decision on chair, because I've done this whole with a small amount of money, but we have at the eastern end of the island been through this. Now, locality who are giving all your information even said when I went on one of the webinars that they're taking a lot from Big Local. Yeah. I was chair of Big Local, so I know, because we had a trusted organisation, but they didn't choose the chair. We went out to community engagement before we chose a chair, before we chose board members, before we did everything to find out what the community is doing. Now, to me, we're not doing that. We're letting MP, Swale Borough Council decide who we have as chair. But only 51% of people need to be from the eastern end of the island. Sorry, no, that needs to be a hell of a lot more than that.
That's probably the minimum we can come. I think we're going to have this debate tomorrow.
We are going to have this debate
but
tomorrow.
It might be worth asking for members' working group, because internal comms on this has been poor.
There's been a working group apparently set up according to P&R.
Let's do.
But I think people from the islands need to know about it. That's why I'm bringing it up now. You brought it up in the papers as matters arising. It needs to be held. Again, we're missing out and ignoring residents and what people want. This money was set for the eastern end of the island, right? Don't care. I'm not. I live there. So, but the residents of the eastern end of the island need to be told about it, and they haven't. They've had all of this has come out, and not a single resident knows about it.
Well, I've asked at various different meetings about this.
And all the meetings have been here in Blue Town.
Right, the MP, right, the council, chief executive officer. And where do you get when you write them? Absolutely nothing.
No.
and it's our money, and I've actually heard that people in this part here, Sheerness in particular, are saying, well, we're getting that money anyway, because what we're going to do, we're going to make one parish council and we'll have it anyway.
And it doesn't work like that. The criteria is quite clear that it is for the eastern end of the
But
island.
it needs to, and you need to have the meetings
but
at
you
the
need
eastern
to
end of the
tell
island.
Absolutely, I think they will. I mean, the update came last time because of the timing and the set of the venue. A lot of work. The process is about setting up that governance arrangement for the council to be an accountable body. A lot of work will be, and huge amounts of the eastern end of the island residents will be involved in that process, because that is the principle of the programme. And everything I've heard internally about the programme absolutely says that. I mean, as the chair said, it will be discussed at P&R tomorrow. There will be an opportunity, but as the ward councillor, of course, you'll be an integral part of that as well.
Like I say, P&R tomorrow,
Why
there is
has
going to
the
be.
parish council's been told about this?
Well,
Are we a nothing again?
Personally, I'm not the lead officer for the programme, but I absolutely assure you that I think town and parish councils, the residents themselves, are a key part of the programme. The principle is grassroots community development. That's what the
Well, this
programme
is the thing, you know.
So why aren't we told
we
about it?
got this.
I'm gonna close this. I think we can do this tomorrow night.
No,
because
this is more about saying that 70 community people
Where
have
is the
been
meeting
about
tomorrow
this
night?
meeting in London. It's at Swalborough House, Swalborough Council.
I was only going to say it.
But no one can at the eastern end of the island.
Okay,
can
we're
get
up to
onto
Mike
that.
now.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very clear that the representatives in the east of the island, Chairman, don't know what's going on.
No.
This has been announced months and months and months ago. And yes, it's a process, and the government set the rules and the council have got to follow the rules. But the officers really ought to be keeping the local members informed of what's going on.
Great.
I don't say it on a weekly basis, but every fortnight, send them an email and say, this is what's going on so far. No change here, no change there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, our local representatives in the east of the island can't talk to their residents and tell them what's going on because they've been kept in the dark. So I think the officers really do need to open up, accept that it's a process that they're undertaking. But for heaven's sake, keep the guys informed, and they're not doing that. And the lead officer works for you, I guess, Charlotte.
No,
Well,
it's
communities.
the head of place.
Sorry?
Head of place is the lead officer.
If you want, we can refer that matter to P&R. I don't know whether they're discussing it anyway tomorrow night.
Oh, so it's being discussed at P&R.
Okay.
I will take back around the feedback around.
Have you been invited to the webinar?
None of us from Sheppey East could get onto this day
Can't get on to it.
in London in February
Ah.
because it's fully booked. There's a lot from Swale members.
I need
who've
a
got
second
Swale
one.
going.
Next item for matters arising is the Swale Local Walking and Cycling Infrastructure Plan. This will be going to the Environment Committee next month, and that is matters arising. Peter and then Peter.
Yes, I've got two issues actually, which for next time probably. One is was slightly mentioned by somebody just tonight was sea defences. Now, sea defences were along the cliff area. My father was a geologist and a geographer, so we know quite a bit about longshore drift is what eats away at the cliff, nothing else. It's the longshore drift, and the only way you can stop that is to build the beach up with groins. Now, the Environment Agency, and this isn't defamatory of them, they just haven't done anything with regard to the groins at Sheerness or at Laysdown, which is why the beaches are gone. But I've got a couple of projects to start.
Let's put that on for next meeting.
We need the policy change.
Of course we do.
Okay, I did ask the leader a question, and he said, "Oh, it apparently it might be changed by whoever decides in March." Well, we need to get that policy changed to one of protection because it's unsustainable, quite frankly. That's the one issue. The other one is the rail. As you know, I've been working for quite some time on trying to get a commuter train, just a commuter train. And I had an email tonight, actually, which is a bit late, to say that they haven't really worked up the business case. But clearly the business case, I know from my experience of transport, and I'm well qualified, that we need car parks. We need a car park at Swale, and we need one at Kemsley, so that we can get the people, instead of them having to drive up somewhere and park, that they will be able to catch the train. It's a huge number of houses being built everywhere, so it's absolutely essential that to make sure that it's a viable service. Probably only one a day to start with, and I would suggest to Cannon Street, where I used to commute when I was very young, on the steam train days, that I went on to run all the Western England coach services and East Anglia coach services, dozens and dozens of vehicles. So I know how to run transport, and it's essential that we get a decent business case and persuade Southeastern, who now also control rail track, that we get those put in place, because then it will be good for the community, it'll be good for the our economy on Sheppey and the economy in Highwade and Kemsley and the Meads, because people will be able to commute. And I know that service will do well, but it's essential that we get the car parks in. So we need to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Peter March, if you can say your bit.
Okay, I'll try to stand if you don't mind, you know, won't hear me. Well, we're talking about eastern end of the island again now.
Oh, God.
2 meetings ago, in this very area committee, we were asked to sort of think of any ideas for East Sheppey for the grant running that's coming up. And there were exciting proposals, what we were asked to bring up. So I'm going to come up with one tonight, and it is to get something done seriously with East Church Airdrome. To create a vintage plane owners club that is a proposal where so we can own like a week-long event down there, and then hopefully it leads to displays, because it all has to grow from the small acorn now. Let's get the fact that East Church was the founder of everything, and you can go to other clubs, air clubs. I've been doing some research. Some don't even know where East Church is. And so let's get it back on the world picture. That's what we've got to do. And develop an aerodrome for vintage plane situation, also with exhibits, storage, even fly. And now you want to get it operational. That'd be good. There's lots of wealthy people who've got vintage planes. They would love to come and show such a really is. And so we're doing we're starting to research. It's hard going now. There are lots of vintage owners in USA, funny enough, more than here. And they're really wealthy people, and they certainly would bring their plane here. I know them. And we researched it because they do move them around, and they use the secondary cargo that's on the ship's deck, very cheap. That's the way they move them around. But they're only moving around their own waters. There's no aerodrome, is it? So I can put it. I've spoken to some of the people who've been involved with it. Spoke to Taylor Brothers, spoke to David there. About 8 years ago, they installed some foundations down at the aerodrome for a building. I don't believe it's gone any further than that. Oh, he doesn't know.
Done a lot of work down at the Aviation Museum recently.
But he did say, he said to me, he did say, you need to talk to Councillor Peter McDonald. He knows an awful lot. So it's funny how you were sitting there next to empty seat shame with it. You've got a lot of knowledge on this from Nogella. There other thing about it, there's a restriction on airspace near the wind farm. I don't know the details there, we'll do more research. But it may
Probably near
be,
prisons as well.
it may or may not be able to live, but it's something I don't know yet, but if it's something that can be done when it's down, I've got it. But anything you come up with involves a lot of research. People don't realise how much research you have to put in as a councillor. It can be months and weeks and colossal hours, and you speak for 10 minutes, you know? So, and I've got a lot more research to do, and basically, I'd like to point, should you get it off going, whoever comes down to visit that, going to go to Laysdown as well. They are, of course they are. You know,
Muswell Manor,
and yeah, come on, it's family groups, aren't they? Yeah, and so that's something that's trade for Laysdown to come from it. So we're trying to link up to build the whole thing up, you know. There's one thing I've worked with. Did you know Winston Churchill did his flying training in this church?
I did know that. I've been visited the museum.
Yeah, I'll be well done. Well, that's why you're chair. So anyway, so if you did get it going, it's got something to me that I'd love you if you did a picture of it down there. And that's more research to do. But that would involve going to the home, wouldn't it? But there's more research you've got to do as you go through. So that's basically what we're trying to go down at that point. It's only started off. You're going to need like a subcommittee at the end of the day, or whatever however you run the situations, you know, with whoever's doing, not just this, whoever's doing the East Industry, somewhere in your group you've got to organise who's going to be operating in to operate that sum of money. But I'm not trying to get it all for that. I don't expect this to go everywhere, but it's that starting. So I'll leave it at that. I'd love to see it going. I think you wanted something exciting to do. The answer to that question, you've got to think of some more as well. Okay, thank you.
I believe we're straight into agenda item 11, which is local issues to be raised. That was the last two speakers.
Looks like that. I thought we was on there.
That's fine. Chris, I've got you next.
Yeah, yes, I understand on the LC whip, there was a lovely lot of mentions of the problems of Neptune Terrace. So I hope that that is going to go right to the top of the list of things that need to be done. I've mentioned it once or twice before.
Oh, actually.
Can I do another one?
Go ahead.
Okay, the other one is another thing which I've mentioned a couple of times before, that I think all the parish councils on the island should all come together and employ a tourism officer.
Yeah.
We haven't got one in Swale. I've mentioned it in our own parish council, and I think they've sent a letter to Swale Borough Council, but I'd like all the parish councils to consider doing that. And if we only had one council on the island, it would make life a lot easier for that.
I think we're discussing that at Minister's Finance meeting tomorrow, so I think Minister might be keen. Any other local issues to be raised? Liam?
I just want to keep it at the forefront of everyone's minds that there is still 10 children approximately that haven't got school places, and come next month, it's only going to get worse. And we are, as councillors, going to probably be bombarded with more children that are going to have to go miles away for schools. And as a parent of one of them children as well, the threats that I'm getting off KCC that they're going to shove her in some school somewhere, and if I don't send her, take me to court, that's what families are having to put up with at the minute. So I think I know it's education, which is KCC, but I think we all need to be aware that these families are really going through it. And it's not just the families, the children, the mental health side effects of these kids is debilitating. They're not seeing peers, you know. So I think we really need to keep it to the forefront of everyone's mind that there is children without schools. And like I say, it's only going to get worse because how many houses we got and no school?
There's 1,500 going up on the island altogether.
And no new secondary school.
There's 450 going up in East Church.
Yeah.
It's not gone in yet.
No, it's not in yet, but it's going.
On that, Chair, if I may, I think it's worth just, again, for the record, that there are 540 Year 6 children on Sheppey who will be looking for a secondary place next year. there are only 330 secondary school places on Sheppey next year.
Yeah.
So 210.
That's this year, that's March intake, isn't it?
It's this September.
Yeah.
So, 210 children will be forced to go to school on the mainland, whether their parents like it or not. And if there are spaces on the mainland, but we know there's a lack of spaces in the city.
And it's not only that as well, but I've been around at some of the schools that at one school I went round to view with my daughter. This is me more as a parent now than like not counsellor. There was food on the floors, and the teachers was just kicking the food across the floor. Not even picking it up, and you're expected to send your child to that school where there's food all over the floor in the canteen and it's dirty, and then because you say no, I don't want to send her there, you're in the wrong. I think we've got. I know I say it's KCC, but this is our future generations of the island and what we're expecting.
James, share anything else?
Yeah, there's one thing that's really bothering me at the present moment. We're being fined for speeding going over 50 miles an hour on the bridge and that area. Can you tell me why we're being punished once again as Sheppey because of the ineffectiveness of Jackson Construction, who are 18 months behind on the building, and we're being fined for it? Disgraceful.
Oh, so that's one for you KCC members who failed to attend tonight. Peter?
Yeah, it's on that, actually, the Department of Transport did actually refuse to have the the sensor things changed to 50 miles an hour. So that's why so many people got caught when the police put something up. I totally agree with you. It's an absolute disgrace. It isn't necessary to be so long, so far as that for 50 miles an hour. It should be much closer. But anyway, yeah. Now I was going to say about education. If you ping me an email, because it's the Department of Education that goes for the numbers for Sheppey, not Kent County Council. Kent County Council can only deliver what the Department of Education say, and it's gross negligence, frankly, by that department. We used to have 4 secondary schools on the island until they were abolished, and then it became, Sheppey School, which I taught at for 15 years. As a maths teacher, but we used to have the 2 technical schools and the 2 modern schools. So we've been neglected, frankly, not good enough. So ping me an email, please.
Okay, agenda item 13, a matter to refer to service committees. So we're going to refer memorial benches to review the scheme there. Although the update said there's no room, there is plenty of room if you walk far enough along the beach. And the other one was poor communications regarding the funding for the east end of the island. So
there was one matter referred by this group to the council, which was that of the Island Growth Board, the Sheppey Growth Board. And anybody that attended the Island Forum previous to that would have heard a lady called Kate Willard speak about those things. She did put a proposal into Swale Borough Council. The report that was written for the whichever committee it was, Economy and Property Committee, that met on the 29th of January, I think contained so many inaccuracies and set so many negative hairs running, including a recommendation that the committee agree not to basically get involved, that the Kate just pulled her proposal and withdrew it because she was so offended by the report, which is a real shame. Which is a real shame. So that report wasn't discussed last week. And I'm glad it wasn't, because I don't think the report was a good report. In my view, it wasn't a good report. Unfortunately, members never got the chance to see it. If they saw it, they never got the chance to discuss it, which is a real shame. So I don't know where we go from that. We've referred it to the service committee. But as things stand at the moment, it's not being discussed anywhere.
Let's ask for an update on that. So the dates of the councillor and residents forum for the next civic year have not yet been confirmed. As soon as they are, they'll be circulated. So this is therefore the last meeting of the Sheppey Area Committee. Thank you all for attending and your support of it over the years. I close the meeting at 21:03. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chair.